لا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد, our book we are studying is Al-Farq Bayna An-Naseehah wa the difference between good advice and insult. Sometimes people mistake good advice as an insult. Sometimes people deliberately insult, but they want you to accept it as Naseehah, good advice. So if you retort to say, hey, but this is insult, they say, no, it's Naseehah, take it. You don't want to take Naseehah. Meanwhile, it's an insult. So how do we know the difference between An-Naseehah, good advice, and what? At-Tibyān, insult. One of the aspects of An-Naseehah is that the ulama correct themselves. Someone says something, explains a verse of the Quran, he makes a mistake. The other say, no, that verse, that is not the meaning of the verse. Why? Because of so evidences. Someone explains a hadith. Others say, hey, no, that is not the meaning of that hadith. Why? Because of so evidences. This kind of a thing is called what? An-Naseehah. If the intention is just to make the truth to be known, it is mere Naseehah. But if the intention is just to disgrace that individual, then it is what? At-Tibyān. Ikhwa, if you look at At-Tibyān, many times the value of correction is lost inside that Tibyān, inside the insult. The correction itself becomes lost. Why? The intention of the person making the correction is to insult. So the insult becomes far much more than the correction itself. So it will have the ruling of the intention and the ruling of what is predominant inside it. If what is predominant inside it is At-Tibyān, it has the ruling of Tibyān. But still, the one receiving that statement, he will sieve it and look for what is right inside it. He will take his own Naseehah inside it and leave his Tibyān with him. These are issues we have been talking about since the last few we started to read this book by Al-Hafiz Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali Rahimahullah Abul-Farq. You find that most of the troubles you find amongst we, the people of Sunnah, inshallah, you find that there's always this issue. One Shaykh said this, one doctor said it, oh, one professor, and then there is trouble amongst people who shouldn't have trouble amongst themselves. So that's why we chose to read a book like this. Like we started in the last class, I always start with it. All the Imām, all the scholars, mujmi'un ala qasdi izhari al-haqq alladhi ba'atha Allahu bihi rasulahu alayhi salatu wasalam. All the scholars are agreed that we all must be making efforts so that the truth with which Allah has raised the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu, we must show it. It must be established. Everybody say, hey, it is the truth that should be established. They are also agreed that an yakuna dinu kulluhu lillah. Deen is for Allah alone. Meaning that if someone makes a mistake, the religion belongs to Allah. We should correct that mistake by way of making people know the truth about the religion of Allah. It's a duty we have. We want to protect Allah's religion from the errors of the person who errs. Thirdly, We also have the scholars agreeing that an takuna kalimatullahi hiya al-ulya. The words of Allah must reign supreme. So if Allah said something, someone is saying something else. He may be quoting a verse of the Quran or a hadith, but it contradicts other clear evidences that are not known to him. That kalimatullahi hiya al-ulya must be established. We have a duty to give a correction, give a nasiha regarding that. The fourth issue I always like to push forward in discussions like this. And all of these issues that I'm talking about, 1, 2, 3, 4, they have been mentioned by Ibn Rajab in this book. Cool? The fourth one is that kulluhum, all the scholars, mu'tarifun, they all acknowledge the fact that أن الإحاطة بالعلم, that one single person has all knowledge. ليس مرتبة أحد منهم. It is not a position that anybody has attained. To say, brother Abdul Fattah, don't call him brother. Say he is Fadila to Shaykh, Ustaz, Doctor, Hafiz, Imam. That is his title. And that means that he knows everything. There is no knowledge, no aspect of knowledge that he does not know. This kind of a status, nobody has it in this room. So that means he knows some, and some he does not know. We hope to read some matters today. And really, I didn't know how I felt having to talk about it. As big as Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhu. Abdullah ibn Abbas. You know what the Prophet said about him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said one day, Dhammani Rasulullah. The Prophet held me to himself. He hugged me, alayhi salatu salam. And then he said, Allahumma allimhu al-kitab. Oh Allah, teach this boy this Quran. That dua is from who? The Prophet Muhammad. Will it be answered or not? To be answered. Was it answered or not? It was answered. Yet, does Ibn Abbas have errors or not? He has. I deliberately brought this book to class. This is a book compiling the errors of Abdullah ibn Abbas. Infiradat to Abdullah ibn Abbas. Issues that Abdullah ibn Abbas was alone in it. The rest of the companions telling you are wrong. Despite that status of Ibn Abbas, he had errors. Radiyallahu anhu. So you that you are not Abdullah ibn Abbas, how about you? How come you will be free from errors? How come you don't want your students to know that you are error prone too? How come? How come? How come when your errors are pointed out, you become inflamed? How come? How come, ikhwa? How come? Al-Imam Abdur-Rahman ibn Mahdi, rahimahullah, from amongst the teachers of Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, he was used to saying that الذي يبرئ نفسه من الخطأ مجنون. الذي يبرئ نفسه من الخطأ من هو مجنون. He said rahimahullah, وَمَنْ لَا يَغْلَطْ. Who is it? الذي لا يغلط. Who does not make ghalat, errors? Nobody. Nobody, ikhwah. Nobody. So if you make errors, then there is a duty upon the rest of the scholars to correct that your error. لماذا أن يكون الدين كله لله وأن تكون كلمة الله هي. So this is the foundation that the learned person also can obtain in nasiha. He had an error, give him good nasiha, good nasiha. But there's always a difference between good advice and An-Naseehah and what? At-Tibyān. The place where we stopped was what Al-Imam Ibn Rajab said before that. He said, Rahimahullah, read from page 10, the last paragraph. It says, فَلَوْ فُرِضُ أَنَّ أَحْدًا يَكْرَهُ إِظْهَارَ خَطَئِهِ. If we take for example, أَنَّ أَحْدًا يَكْرَهُ إِظْهَارَ خَطَئِهِ, that we have someone who hates that his errors are pointed out. خَطَئِهِ الْمُخَالِفِ لِلْحَقِّ, that his mistake contradicts the truth. فَلَا عِبْرَةَ لِكَرَاهَتِهِ, that is rejection, that is hating that his error was mentioned. La ibrata lahu, it should not be given any sort of a consideration. It does not have any weight at all. فَإِنَّ كَرَاهَةَ إِظْهَارِ الْحَقِّ, because that an individual hates that the truth is made known. إِذَا كَانَ مُخَالِفًا لِقَوْلِ الرَّجُلِ, when it becomes contradicted, that is when the truth contradicts the view of that individual. One individual, he has a view. وَالْحَقُّ عَلَى خِلَافِهِ, and the truth contradicts that his view. Then he hates it that truth is propagated, just because it contradicts what I said. The Shaykh says, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْخِصَالِ الْمَحْمُودَةِ, that is not from praiseworthy attributes. It's not from praiseworthy behavior. That what? You have a position, you have a view, it contradicts the truth. People are announcing the truth and you are angry about it. It says, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْخِصَالِ الْمَحْمُودَةِ, it is not from the traits that are adorable. Bal, in fact, al-wajibu ala al-Muslim, what is compulsory upon every person who is a Muslim, an yuhibba zuhur al-haqqi, is that he should like that the truth becomes manifest. Wa ma'rifat al-muslimina lahu, he should like it that the Muslims know the truth. Sawa'un kana dhalika fi muwafaqatihi aw mukhalafatihi, whether that truth is fi muwafaqatihi, whether it conforms to his own view, aw kana fi muwafaqatihi, whether it conforms with it, or kana fi mukhalafatihi, or that it contradicts his own view. The important thing is that an yakuna ad-dinu kulluhu lillah. Ibn Rajab said rahimahullah, wa hadha min an-nasihati lillahi wa likitabihi wa rasulihi wa dinihi, and this is part of an-Naseehah. This is Naseehah now. This is Naseehah we are talking about. Naseehah to the deen of Allah, to his messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, wa a'immatil muslimin. It is Naseehah to the a'imma, the leaders of the people of Islam, wa matihim, even the rank and file. They could not read all these books you are reading. You are giving them good advice. How? Someone spreads error, you correct it and let them know that, hey, what this person is talking about is what? Is an error. That kind of a thing is nasihatun lillahi wa likitabihi wa rasulihi wa dinihi wa a'immatil muslimin wa ammatihim. He said rahimahullah, wa dhalika huwa ad-deen, that is the deen itself, to be of good advice to the rest of the Muslims. Kama akhbara bihi an-Nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, just as the Prophet has told us sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam about nasiha. Wa amma bayanu khata'i man akhta'a min al-ulama'i qablahu, but as for explaining the errors of the scholars who came before you, you're a learned person. Say, before me one scholar came, he said this, that his statement is an error. إِذَا تَأَدَّبَ فِي الْخِطَابِ, when he becomes mannerly in his expressions. وَأَحْسَنَ فِي الرَّدِّ وَالْجَوَابِ, and then he was nice and good. فِي الرَّدِّ, in your refuting those past scholars. وَالْجَوَابِ, and answering to their errors. فَلَا حَرَجَ عَلَيْهِ, there is no blame on him. وَلَا لَوْمَ يُتَوَجَّهُ إِلَيْهِ, and there is no reproach should be directed to him. وَإِن صَدَرَ مِنْهُ مِنَ الْإِقْتِرَارِ بِمَقَالَتِهِ, even if that person refuting an earlier scholar becomes excited by his view. What he really said, how is it? He may have gurur, young people. He may have gurur. He may be deceived by the achievement, quote and unquote. He may become deceived by it. Ibn Rajab said, وَإِن صَدَرَ مِنْهُ مِنَ الْإِقْتِرَارِ بِمَقَالَتِهِ, even that is view, even if it were possible that while he explained it, صَدَرَ مِنْهُ مِنَ الْإِقْتِرَارِ, we saw some youthful exuberance connected to that his statement. He was excited. Gara gara took him. Even if that is the case, فَلَا حَرَجَ عَلَيْهِ, there is no blame. There is no blame. We accept the Naseehah. We leave him with his iqtirar. We accept the good explanation. We leave him with his faults. وَقَدْ كَانَ بَعْضُ السَّلَفِ, and it has always been that some of the early Muslims, one of them, إِذَا بَلَغَهُ قَوْلٌ يُنْكِرُهُ عَلَى قَائِلِهِ, when a statement reaches him, a view from anyone amongst the scholars gets to him, يُنْكِرُهُ عَلَى قَائِلِهِ, that he feels that this view is wrong, he rejects it. He is refuting the person who has that view. يَقُولُ كَذَبَ فُلَانٌ. One of the ways he will say it is to say what? كَذَبَ فُلَانٌ. كَذَبَ فُلَانٌ. Many of us would say كَذَبَ فُلَانٌ means that so and so person has lied. Cool? If you say that too, it's not wrong. Because al-kadhibu ma yukhaliful waqi'. Lie is something that contradicts the reality in existence. So if you say that with that meaning, you have not erred. But you say kadhaba fulan, so person has erred. Some of the Arabs used to consider khata'un as what? Kadhib. So in either of the two expressions, whether you want to say akhta'a or you want to say khalaf al-haq, the two are correct in the circumstance. Kadhaba fulan, he will say so and so has told a lie. وَمِنْ هَذَا, an example of a statement like that, قَوْلُ النَّبِي صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, was the statement of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam when he said, كَذَبَ أَبُو السَّنَابِ. كَذَبَ man? Abu Sanabi. What is the name of Abu Sanabi? Amr ibn Ka'kak. Amr ibn man? Ba'kak. Amr ibn Ba'kak. That is the name of Abu Sanabi. Amr ibn Ba'kak. Abu Sanabi. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Kadhaba man? Abu Sanabi. This hadith, the story of Abu Sanabi, we told us in the last class. You will see my explanations on these are not much. Why? We have read these passages. But I want to bring us to the class today. It's why we are reading them, coming forth with them. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Kadhaba Abu Sanabi. We remember the story of Abu Sanabi. He wanted to marry a woman. What was her name? Subay'atu bintu Al-Harith Al-Aslamiyah radiyallahu anha. This woman was married to Sa'd ibn Khawla. Sa'd ibn Khawla, who was from amongst those who partook in the battle of Badr. He came to Hajj radiyallahu anhu, and then he died. But when he came to Hajj, his wife was pregnant. What was her name? Subay'a bint al-Harith. She was pregnant. Shortly after Sa'd ibn Khawla passed away, 15 days as we have in the riwayah of Al-Imam Ahmad. Last week, we just said shortly after. Cool. Now I can confirm to you that it was 15 days after. That one occurs in the riwayah of Al-Imam Ahmad of this qissa. 15 days after Sa'd ibn Khawla passed away, Subay'atu bintu Al-Harith Al-Aslamiyya, she delivered her baby. Radiyallahu anha. And immediately after, even before the end of Nifas, she started to dress up again. Hey. You know what that means? When she started dressing up, what is she looking for? She's looking for a khitbah. She started doing fine. So once Abu Sanabil took a permission and went to her apartment. So why are you dressing up? Oh, Subaya, why are you dressing up? Are you supposed to start dressing up? Mali araki tajammalti lil khitab. Why have I seen you dressing up like this? La'allaki tarjina nikah. Perhaps you started to anticipate nikah. Fa innaki wallahi ma anti binakihin hatta tamurra alayki arba'atu ashhurin wa ashra. Wallah, you can't get married until you have spent 4 months and how many days? 10 days. Does he have a proof or not? He has a proof from a clear-cut ayah in Al-Baqarah. When Abu Sanabil said this, radiyallahu anhu. Fortunately, Abu Sanabil was interested in marrying her. But the companions have an issue. That he has an interest does not override the fact that she should do the right thing. He wants to marry her. If it were some of our brothers saying, Namigo Kuku Mariam, so let me be seeing her. No, she was not supposed to be doing what she was doing. It shows, wallahi, their ikhlas for this deen of Allah. The fact that he has an interest does not stop him from saying, hey, do the right thing. You are not supposed to start dressing fine now. Wallahi, you are not supposed. He was even vowing with Allah. Don't forget, it was not an empty vow. He has a verse in the Quran that stipulates that. Radiyallahu anha. Subay'a said, Radiyallahu anha, فَلَمَّا قَالَ لِذَلِكَ جَمَعْتُ عَلَيَّ ثِيَابِي حِينَ أَمْسَيْتُ. When I heard that from him, he said that to me. Jama'tu alayya thiyabi hina amsaytu. When it became the evening, I carried my jilbab. Radiyallahu anha. Wa ataytu Rasulallahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I went to meet the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Look at the women, they want to search for knowledge. You wear jilbab, go and meet the Prophet. You wear jilbab, go and meet him. Wear niqab, jilbab, oh yeah, go and find out. What Abu Sanabil is saying contradicts what I know. Yes, he's quoting a verse of the Quran, but I think he's wrong. Why does she think Abu Sanabil was wrong? Because there's another verse of the Quran in Surah At-Talaq. وَأُولَاتُ أَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَن يَضَعْنَ ثِيَابَ حَمْلَهُنَّ أَن يَضَعْنَ ثِيَابَهُنَّ is another verse in Surah An-Nur. أن يضعن حملهن. Ajaluhun, the ajal of ulatul ahmad, women who are pregnant, is that what? أن يضعن حملهن, that she delivers her pregnancy. Once she delivers her pregnancy, it's over. That is what she is depending on. So you can see, ikhwa, sometimes the scholars, this group of scholars have a verse of the Quran. This group of scholars have a verse of the Quran regarding one issue. So what is the issue? Where is the meeting ground? So she came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَسَأَلْتُهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ. So I went to ask the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam regarding that. فَأَفْتَانِي بِأَنِّي قَدْ حَلَلْتُ. The Prophet said, yes, you are already lawful to get married. حِينَ وَضَعْتُ حَمْلِي. Since the day that I delivered my baby, I am due for marriage. Wa amarani bitazawuji imbadali. He told me, go and marry if you like, but you are qualified to do what? To marry. So that was why Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he gave us another loves of this hadith. That when Subay'atu al-Aslamiyya came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to ask him about that view, the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Kadhaba Abu Sanabil. Abu Sanabil has erred. We'd explained these rulings in the last class. Kadhaba Abu Sanabil. But this expression, Kadhaba Abu Sanabil, I've also heard some scholars erring on it, ikhwah. Why? They say, وَهَذَا اللَّفْظ ضَعِيفُ الْإِسْنَادِ. This statement is also an error. Just yesterday, I heard one of the learned persons explaining this. He said this lafz is da'if. Yes, the isnad in the musnad of Al-Imam Ahmad is da'if. But the isnad in Sunan in Sharh al-Sunnah by Al-Imam al-Baghawi is sahih. Not just that. Even the isnad in the musnad, Shaykh Ahmad Shakir yusahihuhu. Laysa bin firadi. It's not saying it is sahihun lidhati. There is another isnad in As-Sunan al-Kubra by Imam al-Bayhaqi. That isnad is mursalun sahih. So if the isnad in the musnad of Al-Imam Ahmad that has this lafz, kadhaba Abu Sanabil, if the isnad in the musnad of Al-Imam Ahmad is da'if, lidhafi ba'dhi ruwatihi, but there is isnad in Sunan al-Kubra by Imam al-Bayhaqi that is mursalun sahih. Taib. يقبل التحسين أم لا؟ يقبل التحسين. This is if you remove it from the isnad of Al-Imam al-Baghawi in Sharh al-Sunnah. That's why al-Baghawi himself in Sharh al-Sunnah yusahihu. But some say, hey, well, this love is daif. This love is sahih. To say it is nasiha. Go. So this love is sahih. From those who degraded it sahih, recently Shaykh Ahmad Shakir. But long ago, Al-Imam al-Baghawi in Sharh al-Sunnah. By my own copy of Sharh al-Sunnah, I didn't even write volume and page. May Allah pardon me. I would have told you so that you go and check for it. But go back to Sharh al-Sunnah by Imam al-Baghawi. He reported this love, Kadhaba Abu Sanabil, with an isnad completely different from the isnad of Al-Imam Ahmad in his musnad. So Kadhaba Abu Sanabil is a love of this hadith. That is what? That is sahih. So the Prophet said so, alayhi salatu wasalam, Lamma balagahu annahu afta, when it reached him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that he gave a fatwa, anna al-mutawaffa anha zawjuha, that a man who passes away, the woman whose husband passes away, إذا كانت حاملة, when that woman is pregnant, لا تحل بوضع الحمل. The Prophet heard that. Abu Sanabil radiallahu anhu said that woman is not lawful for marriage just because she has delivered the baby. حتى يمضي عليها arba'atu ashhurin wa ashru, until she spends 4 months and 10 days. When it got to the Prophet, that Abu Sanabil said that, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa radiyallahu anhu, what did the Prophet say? Kadhaba Abu Sanabil. He said that by way of rejecting that fatwa. So if some of the Salaf, you give a view, they consider the view to be wrong, even though you are upon some evidences. They knew that those evidences are weak regarding the matter. Sometimes they say kadhaba fulan, and there are many examples. Aisha radhiyallahu anha said that regarding Abdullah ibn Umar. Many examples, kadhaba fulan. In fact, if I remember vividly, she also said that regarding Abu Hurairah, kadhaba fulan. What they basically mean is what? Akhta'a. But if it say it is kadhaba because it contradicts the reality on the ground, there is no blame. The point here is that the Salaf used to reject a view that is weak. They used to reject a view that is weak. This view is weak, throw it away. And to do that is from the aspects of An-Naseehah. It is not right. Ibn Rajab said, rahimahullah, it is not right that the individual finds it reprehensible that his view is corrected when he errs. It's not right that you are hating it that they are correcting your view. Don't do that. He said, rahimahullah, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْخِصَالِ الْمَحْمُودَةِ. It is not from good behavior. بل الواجب على المسلم أن يحب ظهور الحق ومعرفته ومعرفة المسلمين له. And that the Muslim should know the truth is something that you should like. سواء كان ذلك في موافقته أو مخالفته. I hope that this passage is clear. وقد بالغ الأئمة الورعون. The scholars al-a'imma, the scholars of this deen, the leading scholars in this religion, they are not just scholars, ikhwah. They are wari'un, people of the best levels of righteousness. If you say somebody is warrior, that is, they are people who even leave something that is permissible, so that it does not lead them to something that's not permissible. Because they don't want to commit something that's not permissible, they leave the permissible ones. This is the meaning of al-war'u. And the wari'u is the one who is upon it. They are always avoiding anything that is indecent. So they are the ones talking. He said, rahimahullah, balagal a'immatul wari'un fi inkari maqalatin da'ifatan li ba'd al-ulama. These a'imma with their righteousness, balagu fi inkari maqalatin da'ifa. They went to large extremes to refute views that are weak. Maqala da'ifa. They used to refute it. They find a weak statement, they will refute it. Li ba'd al-ulama. For some of the scholars, some scholars have a view that's weak, those scholars will refute it. Rahimahumullah. وَرَدِّهَا أَبْلَغَ الرَّدِّ. Those weak statements, they gave them serious rods, serious corrections, serious refutations. And they are people of righteousness. Why? Some people will think that, if a person is righteous, he will not be refuting. In the last class, I was saying that some of our brothers are there, and I envy these brothers upon goodness. If you make a statement you are wrong, they will come to say, yes, one sheikh made one statement, it's wrong. They will refute it, they will correct it. It's a big job, these brothers. Some people think, every day he has somebody to refute. Nasiha is a job. It's not starting it. Some people have always been doing it long ago. Sorry that I mentioned the name. Will he not leave us? Will he not? Hey, it's the job. It's nasiha. Balagu fi raddi ala maqalatin da'i. They were always making rad. This statement is wrong. Refute it. But someone who also did that a lot, that my brother and my friend, Shaykh Abdul Juma, he does that a lot. Hey, so person said so thing. This thing that he said is wrong. So person said so thing. This thing that he said is wrong. Whether that person wants to accept that thing or not. If he does not accept it, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْخِصَالِ الْمَحْمُودَةِ. If he accepts it, فَهُوَ مِنَ النَّصِيحَةِ لِلدِّينِ. It's a job. If these brothers are not doing it, everybody will be forced to do it too. It will come to you as a duty, as a job. But if they are doing it, okay, no problem. Unless sometimes they need to be supported. They are not only the ones saying it, everybody has that view. They support them. So that the opposing party understand that we are really weak. All these Sunnah people, that's what they are saying. Sometimes it is not just even between the people of Sunnah and Bid'ah. Amongst the people of Sunnah itself. Somebody can have a view, say this view is wrong. You correct it nicely. It's not new, it's not strange. It's part of our religion. So don't say, where did they get it? Where did they get it? Ibn Rajab told you where they got it. He said, Rahimahullah, وَقَدْ بَالَغَ الْأَئِمَّةُ الْوَرِعُونَ في إنكار مقالات ضعيفة لبعض العلماء وردها أبلغ الرد كما كان الإمام أحمد. That was how those A'immah were doing. Just like Al-Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ينكر على أبي ثور وغيره مقالات ضعيفة تفردوا بها. Al-Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he would yunkiru ala Abi Thawr. He will make rad on Al-Imam Abu Thawr, Ibrāhīm ibn Khalid Al-Kalbi, from the A'imma. Al-Imam Abu Thawr kana imaman min al-A'imma. He was from the A'imma of Sunnah. Someone went to ask Al-Imam Ahmad about Abu Thawr. He said, Rahimahullah, A'rifuhu bis-sunnati munzu 50 sana. Imam Ahmad spoke about Abu Thawr, Ibrāhīm ibn Khalid al-Kalbi. He says, A'rifuhu, I have known Abu Thawr now. Bis-sunnah. Ikhwah, this statement is big. Who is making it? Imamu Ahli Sunnah says, A'rifuhu bis-sunnati munzu 50 sana. 50 years. This Abu Thawr, I've known him upon the Sunnah. Rahimahullah. This big thana for Abu Thawr, Ibrāhīm ibn Khalid al-Kalbi. Once someone wants to ask Imam Ahmad, he asked him about a question from the Masail al-Fiqhiyah. And Imam Ahmad said, Rahimahullah, Sal ghayrana, Sal al-fuqaha, Sal Abu Thawr. Go and ask others. Sometimes this happens. I do it a lot. You ask me, I can say, hey, go and ask others. Don't ask me. Ask doctor or sheikh or professor, anybody. Go and ask another person. I may not want to answer that question. You go and ask another person. This is part of the Salafiyya of the Salaf. They push questions to themselves. Don't ask me. Ask so person. Don't ask me. Ask so person. Today, you see our Shabab, there is no question they can't find answer for. When they say ask another person, it is not as if they don't know. For one reason or the other. Young people don't know those reasons. For them, they want to answer every question. Because when they answer every question, that is evidence that they are scholars. Al-Farq. Salafi. What shows that you are Salafi is that you can answer every question. As for Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he told the person, Sal al-fuqaha, go and ask the scholars of fiqh. Sal Abu Thawr, go and ask Abu Thawr. So a learned person that Al-Imam Ahmad will say, go and ask him. I've known him upon Sunnah for 50 years. Ask him that question. Abu Thawr, hayyin ghayru hayyin. From the A'imma of this deen. Yet, when Abu Thawr had a view that Al-Imam Ahmad was not considering as appropriate, radda alayh, he will say refutation. This thing that Abu Thawr said, he was wrong in it. Should I give you one strange view of Al-Imam Abu Thawr? He accepts that women can lead Salah and men are observing Salah behind them. You don't know? Abu Thawr had that view. Let me tell you another person who has that view. Al-Imam At-Tabari. But this view, they were well refuted in it by the ulama. You see now, when we heard Al-Imam Ahmad saying that, A'rifuhu bis-sunnati mundu 50 sana, I've known him upon Sunnah 50 years, it does not mean that I cannot make a mistake. Imam Ahmad himself, he has views too that are considered strange and refuted. Ayyuhal ikhwa. Nobody is safe. Nobody. So why are you quarreling when they showed you your error? That Shaykh, Hafizakumullah, this view is an error. What's strange about that? May Allah protect all of us. Ibn Rajab said, rahimahullah, وَقَدْ بَالَغَ الْأَئِمَّةُ الْوَرِعُ فِي إِنْكَارِ مَقَالَاتٍ ضَعِيفَةً لِبَعْضِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. The ulama balagu fi inkari maqalat. These scholars upon sound righteousness, they went to great extents fi inkari maqalatin da'ifatan, to refute statements that are weak, li ba'd al-ulama, that some others amongst the scholars have given. Let me give us another view from Al-Imam Abu Thawr that just came to my mind. The Majus, he considers then that we can eat fire worshippers. Abu Thawr has a view that we can eat their dhaba'ih, whatever they slaughter. Abu Thawr. You know what Al-Imam Ahmad said about that? He said, Abu Thawr, huwa kasmihi fi hadhihi al-mas'ala. He is like his name in this mas'ala. What does that mean? What is his name? Abu Thawr. What's the meaning of a Thawr? Bull. You know a bull? You don't understand. Al-Imam Ahmad said, Abu Thawr fi hadhihi al-mas'ala kasmihi. In this mas'ala, Abu Thawr is like his name. What does that mean? What does that mean, Ikhwa? Abu Thawr is like his name. In this mas'ala, it was like a bull. That is how come so strange you are, O Abu Thawr. Like a bull in this issue. How can Majus be from Ahlul Kitab? What are we saying? They refuted those views to the utmost of refutations. كما كان الإمام أحمد ينكر على أبي ثور. Like Al-Imam Ahmad would refute the views of Abu Thawr وغيره and others. Anybody. We are talking about scholars of Sunnah refuting scholars of Sunnah in Masail Fiqhiyah. It's not about Sunnah and its people and the Bid'ah and the people. No, Sunnah amongst the scholars. He made a mistake, they refute him. No matter the mas'ala. Why? كلهم متفقون أن يكون الدين كله لله. All of them, they are all agreed that this deen must be for Allah. ويعترفون أن الإحاطة بالعلم ليست مرتبة أحد منهم. They also agree that to say I know everything is not a status that any one of them attained. None of them reached that status. They all agree. No matter your knowledge, you make mistake, they refute you, you accept it. Go and change it. So if these scholars are like that, that was how Imam Ahmad was. ينكر على أبي ثور وغيره مقالات ضعيفة تفردوا بها. Their views that are weak, that they were alone in it, they refuted those views. ويبالغ في ردها عليهم. Imam Ahmad will go to long extremes في ردها عليهم, to make sure that he refutes those views to those who have those views. هذا كله حكم الظاهر. All of what we have explained so far regarding An-Naseehah is regarding those things that we see, apparent matters, for that person giving rod, what we see, what we hear, what we can observe. It says وَأَمَّا فِي بَاطِنِ الْأَمْرِ. But as for inside his mind, فَإِنْ كَانَ مَقْصُودُهُ فِي ذَلِكَ مُجَرَّدَ تَبْيِينِ الْحَقِّ. If what is inside his mind is مُجَرَّدَ تَبْيِينِ الْحَقِّ, he just wants to explain the truth. وَلِأَلَّا يَغْتَرَّ النَّاسُ بِمَقَالَاتِ مَنْ أَخْطَأَ فِي مقالاته. From his intention is also that Allah yaghtarra nas, so that the people do not become deceived. بمقالات من أخطأ في مقالاته, with the view of a person who has erred in this view. If this is your intention inside your mind, فلا ريب أنه مثاب على قصده, there is no doubt that this person who has these great praiseworthy intentions, يثاب على قصده, he will be rewarded for those intentions. ودخل بفعله هذا بهذه النية في النصح لله ورسوله وأئمة المسلمين وعامتهم. And with this, his good intention and good deeds put together. Good intention, good deed. That's why the Naseehah that I'll always give to these my brothers who always give these refutations when people make sure that your ikhlas is sound. Because most times when, may Allah protect all of us, just like nobody is free from error, nobody is free from wrong thoughts, there is no one that shaitan has left. Wallahi, shaitan, Ibn Abbas said so regarding himself, radiyallahu anhu, that I know that shaitan is pursuing me more than you, because if he catches me, he would have caught a lot of you. The shaitan is actually behind you as a learned person. So you'll be shouting, you don't see how they praised you, you didn't see how they eulogized you. He's telling you things too. So be careful about your niyyah. Because man amila amalan ashraka fihi ghairi ashraka fihi ma'i ghairi taraktuhu wa shirkahu. Anyone who does any deed, that's a hadithun qudsiyun ko. Anyone who does any deed, ashraka fi, and he joins a partner in it, with me, ghairi, other than me, taraktuhu wa shirkahu, I will abandon him with that thing that he has joined with me. So riya, shuhra. Be careful about it. Riya. Some people, it is this riya that makes them to reject a truth said to them. They feel too big to change a view. Who are you to change a view? Who are you? Change the view if you are wrong. Change the view if you are wrong. If you see that you are right, go back to it. Prove that you are right. I have heard you say this about this, but because of these other issues is the reason why I have not changed that. It's not wrong to do that. But everyone makes a mistake. May Allah protect us. So if you refute, that is in the open. Don't forget, your niyyah too is also important. That's why he said, وَأَمَّا فِي بَاطِنِ الْأَمْرِ فَإِنْ كَانَ مَقْصُودُهُ فِي رَدِّهِ عَلَى الْمُخَالِفِ. In your refuting a person who is making mukhalafa of the haqq, في كل ذلك فإن كان مقصوده في ذلك مجرد تبيين الحق, all that he wants is no other than that. He wants to explain the truth. وَلِأَلَّا يَغْتَرَّ النَّاسُ بِمَقَالَاتِ مَنْ أَخْطَأَ فِي مَقَالَاتِهِ. And he also does not want the people to be deceived by the opinion of that person who gave that wrong opinion. فَلَا رَيْبَ أَنَّهُ مُثَابٌ عَلَى قَصْدِهِ. There is no doubt that that person who is physically refuting and internally having sincere ikhlas for his refutation physically, this person, yuthabun ala qasdihi, that intention is also going to be rewarded. وَدَخَلَ بِفِعْلِهِ هَذَا بِهَذِهِ النِّيَّةِ فِي النُّصْحِ لِلَّهِ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَأَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَعَامَّتِهِ. And that's his kind, sincere intention, and then good deed. So you see him, good deed followed up with what? Good intention. This is when it is correct. If good deed is followed up with a bad intention, it is bad. If good intention is followed up with bad deed, it is also what? Bad. Good intention does not justify a bad deed. Bad deed is what? Bad. The time that it is right is when the intention is right and the good deed is also what? Good. The deed is good, the intention is good. Deed is right, intention is right. That is when it is right. If one of them is right, the other one is wrong, it is wrong. If the other one is wrong, the other one is right, it is wrong. But when this one is right and this one is right, that is when it is what? Right. He said, Rahimahullah, وَسَوَاءٌ كَانَ الَّذِي بَيَّنَ الْخَطَأَ صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا. Whether the person who is explaining that truth, whether the person who is giving you that correction, kana sagira, whether it's a person that is young, or kabiran, or a person that is elderly, falahu uswatun bima radda min al-ulama maqalat ibn Abbas allati yashudhu fiha. He has precedence, lahu uswatun, he has models bima radda min al-ulama, in those scholars who gave a refutation to the views of Abdullah ibn Abbas allati yashudhu fiha, those views that Abdullah ibn Abbas were wrong at. Because those ulama vis-a-vis Ibn Abbas, they will be considered as sagir. Ibn Abbas, is he the one you want to refute? You are sagir. So those scholars who refuted say, no, Ibn Abbas had this view, radiyallahu anhuma. But this view, there's a hadith that shows that he was wrong. There's a verse that shows that he was wrong in his views. And like I said at the beginning of this class, this book really scares me. It's been a long time with me. Infiradatu Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma an jumhuri sahabati fi al-ahkam al-fiqhiyah. The matters of fiqh. That Ibn Abbas was alone. The rest of the companions say, hey, you are wrong. Radiyallahu anhu. It's a number of masail, up to 20, around 20. Aside. Today when I was looking at it, I said, if a person has hundreds of thousands of views and they only say he was wrong in 20, who is he? You have thousands, 20,000, 30, 50, 100,000 masail, verses of the Quran, ahadith that he explained radiyallahu anhu, and they say he was wrong in only 20 or so. How is he? Because he is akhta qalila, small, few, compared to the rightness. Radiyallahu anhu. Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Barr, he said, laysa min shartil alim alla yukhti'ah. It is not from the condition to know a scholar that he never commits a mistake. That is how we know that it's a scholar. How? He never commits mistake. That is not part of the conditions. The condition is that he will commit mistakes, but they will be few. Someone compiled the errors of Al-Imam Al-Albani in his own views. We used to be busy with books like that. I have a number of them. Books in which people very strongly criticized Al-Imam Al-Albani, especially on his ahkam, his rulings on ahadith, whether they are sahih, da'if or hasan. I get busy with those books very well. The first of them that I first got aware was An-Naseehah. Very old book. Myself and my brother and friend, Ustad Abdul-Ghani Juma, we used to discuss masail from this book long ago, almost 15, 20 years ago. You say, hey, this hadith, have you studied it? We start talking about it. In that book, An-Naseehah, one author, Misri, Mahmoud Surur, if I remember it. There are others people wrote. So if a man has a ruling of 50,000 hadiths, one young man came and said he was wrong in 100, he was wrong in 50. Are those not few? Out of 50,000, he was only wrong in 100. Those 100, there are some others that you are the one that is wrong. So don't say, oh, but because he was wrong, there is no more a scholar. People have always been wrong and they were scholars. Rahimahumullah. People have always been wrong, and they are learned people. Look at Abu Thawr. Look at what Imam Ahmad said. Look at Ishaq ibn Ibrāhīm ibn Rahwayh. Look at what Imam Ahmad was saying about him. Yet he had errors. Imam Ahmad himself had errors. Ikhwah. May Allah forgive all of us. So سواء كان الذي يبين الخطأ أو الذي بين الخطأ صغيرا أو كبيرا, whether the person explaining that error is an elderly person or a young person, فله أسوة بمن رد من العلماء مقالات ابن عباس التي يشذ فيها. He has precedence, he has model in those scholars who had refuted Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma in some of those masail, in some of those issues, allati yashudhu biha, that he was alone in holding those opinions. Wa unkirat alayhi min al-ulama. These issues, the scholars refuted it. They rejected it from him. Mithlul mut'ah, like al-mut'ah. A man travels, many of the people don't understand. Even the Shia, they don't understand it. A man travels to a strange land, far away from home. He knows nobody there. He finds a means to marry a woman for the period of his stay there. Even when mut'ah was allowed by the Messenger, it was not inside the house, far away. So he marries there. I'm going to stay here for 2 years. I'm going to stay here for 5 years, 10 years. He marries for that period of time. This is what is mut'ah. He goes away. He's not at home. It's not saying that you are at home. You have women you can propose and properly marry. No. The man is far away. Then he marries a woman. That was why it was with the companions when they were away on wars. They went on some wars that lasted perhaps a year before they returned home. They had need for women. Sometimes they were given those permissions by the Prophet Muhammad. Ibn Abbas had that view till a very long time. But the Prophet had prohibited it, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Even the verses of the Quran prohibited it. Illa ala azwajihim aw ma malakat aymanuhum fa innahum ghayru malumin. Only 2 people. Your wives and the slaves that you have. These are the 2 people you can have access to. Wa man ibtagha wara'a dhalik. Whoever seeks for anything beyond these 2, fa ulaika humul adun. Those are those who go beyond stated limits. So these verses make nasakh, they abrogate the rulings of al-mut'ah. But Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu was not aware. In fact, they went for a battle. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited mut'ah. But when Ibn Abbas was asked by the people, he gave a fatwa on that. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhuma, or radiyallahu anhu, Ali, he would make refutations to Abdullah ibn Abbas on it. In fact, in one of them, when I read it, I say, hey, this is tough. He referred to Ibn Abbas. He says, Innaka rajulun ta'ihun. At-ta'ih. What is ta'ih? Someone going forth and backwards about something who does not know where he's actually supposed to be. It's a strong statement from Ali to Ibn Abbas. Why are you giving fatwa that people should make mut'ah? Stop it. Elsewhere it says, Ma'ala ya Ibn Abbas. Dear, stop this statement to Ibn Abbas. The same thing Abdullah ibn Umar. His refutation to Abdullah ibn Abbas on the issues of mut'ah was very strong. In a statement he said, radiyallahu anhuma, Abdullah ibn Umar, he says, وَهَلْ كَانَ ابْنُ عَبَّاسٍ إِلَّا غُلَامًا صَغِيرًا إِذْ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. You that you are a small boy. Was Ibn Abbas any other than a small young boy when the Prophet was alive? Meaning that why should he be saying this? He shouldn't. Don't take his statement. Don't mind him. Why? Because Ibn Abbas was saying that The view was brought to Abdullah ibn Umar the way you people always bring people's view to another learned person. Dr. So-so-so said so-so-so. Is it correct? So they went to Ibn Umar. Ibn Abbas is saying this. Is he right? I say it's wrong. He said, but he's still saying it. He said, Ibn Abbas. وَهَلْ كَانَ ابْنُ عَبَّاسِ إِلَّا غُلَامًا صَغِيرًا إِذْ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Was he other than a small boy when the Prophet was alive? We know what we are saying. Forget about the statement of who? Abdullah ibn Abbas. Raziyallahu anhu. In fact, in other things, say, Subhanallah. Ma azunnu anna ibn Abbas yaf'alu hada. I can't imagine that Ibn Abbas is saying this. He made mistakes. Raziyallahu anhu. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu would always say to him, Nahana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam am mut'atin nisa. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam prohibited us from what? Mut'atun nisa. But you are saying this. Stop it. Stop it, Ibn Abbas. So he heard regarding mut'ah. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. One lesson there, ikhwa, do you know it? Yes, they were refuting him. He was saying, hey, you were young that time, keep quiet. Say, hey, subhanallah, hey, mahla, hey, this. They were not saying that mubtadi, dalu mudil. They were not using these kinds of expressions. Because they knew that he was not saying it an hawa. We are coming back to that. It was clear to them that he was not following hawa. But if a person comes to say this statement today that mut'ah is lawful, we know that he's saying it yaquluhu an hawa. It's hawa you are following. Because ijma from after Ibn Abbas became munakid. Ijma became established long ago. Al-Imam al-Khattabi cited ijma. Al-Imam Abu Bakr al-Hazmi cited ijma. Al-Imam al-Maziri rahimahullah, he cited ijma. Al-Imam al-Qurtubi Abu al-Abbas sahib al-Mufhim, he cited ijma. Many scholars cited ijma. So now it has come from the issues, from the masail allati al-khilafu fiha ghayru mu'tabarin ghayru sa'igin. Ikhwa, do we get the point again? This matter has come back to become from the issues that al-khilafu fiha, to say there is difference of opinion. Ghayru sa'ig. No difference. Why? There's ijma. And mukhalafatul ijma la yajuz. It's haram to contradict ijma. This ijma is not just ijma, it is ijma'un mustanad. It is an ijma that has a proof from the Quran, that has a proof from the Sunnah, and then the companions and those after them were agreed upon. So anybody who comes to say muta today will say, my friend Benullah, who may not be paying so much attention to explaining. Hey, my friend, you are making mukhalafa of ijma. All of us will be making inkar. We will say the like of what Imam Ahmad just said. Who was so? He is so. Even though he didn't say that, he said, Abu Thawr fi hadhihi al-mas'ala kasmihi. Rahimahumullah. So Ibn Abbas, he was refuted in the mas'ala of al-mut'ah. Was sarf. Likewise, the mas'ala of exchange. Riba is divided into two Riba An-Naseehah and what? Riba Al-Farq. Riba An-Naseehah, borrow me money, I will pay back in 10 days time. Because there's mudda, there's time connected to it. Or sell me this your property, I will pay tomorrow. You see, the money is coming back over time. If you add money to it, it is called Riba An-Naseehah. Ibn Abbas has that. But as for Riba Al-Farq, what is Riba Al-Farq? You have 100 naira, single note. You need 100 naira, 10 naira notes. You know those people who do that business, go? How much would they give you? 90 naira for 100 naira. This is haram. It's part of riba. This riba is called what? Riba al-Farq. Ibn Abbas had a view that it is lawful. The scholars refute him. Beginning from the companions, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he has a lot of ahadith from where he refuted Abdullah ibn Abbas and many others amongst the companions. But Ibn Abbas changed his view, radiyallahu anhuma. He changed his view on these issues. There are reports. Abu Sahba in Sahih Muslim, one of the Tabi'un, he reported it. In fact, Ibn Abbas used to make dua, oh Allah, I beg you, pardon me over this my view that I had had. The Sarf, they did not leave him, they refuted that's his view. Likewise, wal umaratain. Umaratain were two issues connected to inheritance. The scholars say it is mas'alatul umarain. Allahu A'lam. These issues were ascribed to Omar because he was the one who took a stand view on it. Abdullah ibn Abbas had a view on it. One of them, let me tell us about it. A man dies and leaves a girl. The scholars say that that girl will take nisfko falaha nisf type. If a man dies and leaves 3 girls, the Quran says, فَإِن كُنَّ نِسَاءٌ فَوْقَ اثْنَتَيْنِ فَلَهُنَّ ثُلُثَا مَا تَرَكَ. More than 2 فوق الاثنين فوق اثنتين, they will take thulutha, 2/3 of what the person leaves behind. Cool? What if there are 2? If it is 1, falaha nisf. If they are more than 2, they will have what? Thulutha ma tarak. Type. What if they are 2? Because if they are more than 2, is 2/3. If it is 1, it is half. Type. What about if it is 2? What will they take? Ibn Abbas said 2 will take half. The 2 of them will share half. He connected the ruling to if it was 1, falaha nisf. The rest of the companions say, hey, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not do that. What is done is that they are connected to 3. So if the girls are 2 and above, they will get what? Thulutha ma tarak, 2/3. Jumhur connected them to above 2. Ibn Abbas connected 2 to what? Like 1. Do we get this point? The scholars gave rududat, explanations, hey, to show that Ibn Abbas, hey, this is an error. He is connecting them to 1, who should take this. The rest of the scholars connected them to what? 3. They connected 2 to 3, that they should take what? 2/3. Like that. 2 issues like that. It was Omar who gave a strong view regarding Abdullah ibn Abbas. So those masail are connected to what? Omar. That was what Al-Imam ibn Rajab is saying. That those 2 issues about miras, regarding which Umar was firm and stern on it, Ibn Abbas was also refuted radiyallahu anhuma regarding them. He said, وَغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ, and other issues. Those other issues, this Shaykh who authored this book, Muhammad Sumay Sayyid Abdur-Rahman, perhaps it's a master's thesis. Long ago, the first edition was printed in the year 2000. When are we now? About 24 years ago. So Ibn Abbas was also refuted, radiyallahu anhu. وَمَنْ رَدَّ عَلَى سَعِيدٍ ibn al-Musayyib قَوْلَهُ فِي إِبَاحَتِهِ الْمُطَلَّقَ ثَلَاثًا بِمُجَرَّدِ الْعَقْدِ. Sa'id al-Musayyib has a view. What is that view? Ibahatul mutallaqati thalatha. He permits that a woman who is divorced 3 times, if a woman becomes divorced the 3rd time, that talaq is ba'in ko. If the husband wants to take her back, what did Allah say? Hatta tankiha zawjan ghayrahu, until he goes to marry another man. Sa'id ibn Musayyib stopped there and said, Tankiha, nikah. So once there is act, the second man marries her, there is act, and then he divorces her, she can marry the other man back. She can marry the first husband. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib said that he has that view. I want us to understand what he is saying. A man divorces his wife. The third divorce, at-tatliqatu thalitha, and then he wants to take her back. The Quran says, hatta tankiha zawjan ghayrahu, unless she marries another husband first, and then that husband divorces her. That marriage will not be marriage of muhallil wal muhallila lahu, because the Prophet said alayhi salatu wasalam, he referred to al muhallil as at-taysul ar, at-taysul musta'ar, a he-goat that is loaned. Brother A married a woman, divorced her the third time, and he wants her back. He sends brother B, his friend, to marry her. After the marriage, brother B divorces her so that brother A can marry her again. This arrangement, the Prophet called brother B, he called him at-taysul mustar, a uretun yalo, borrowed he goat, and he cursed them. He says, la'ana Allahu al-muhallila wal-muhallila lahu, the man who made that woman halal and the one for whom it was made halal upon an arrangement, the curse of Allah be upon them. The marriage will be an unarranged marriage, the divorce will be an unarranged divorce. But that marriage before the divorce, because it says hatta tankiha zawjan nikah, Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib said once they make aqdu nikah, it's enough. The second husband can divorce her, and then at that time the first husband can marry her, she can go back, they can marry again. Because the Quran said tankiha, she got married to zawjan ghayrahu, a husband other than the first husband. So he says the act is enough. But we know that there is hadith of Imra'atu Rifa'ah in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. Rifa'ah was a companion. Something happened between himself and his wife, and then he divorced her. So she left. She went to marry another person. But that person, she said, radiyallahu anha, that the person's private area was like hudbah. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah explained hudbah. You know a rope that extends from a cloth like this. This is hudbah. No strength, no size. What kind of husband is this? He can't even have good conjugal relations with, like hudbah, the cloth that extends from a cloth like this. Small, no size, no strength. Radiyallahu anhu. The woman came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She sat down, she began to look at the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu. The Prophet said, "Ka'annaki tarji'ini ila Rifa'ah." The way I'm looking at you, it's like you want to go back to your husband, your first husband. She said, "Yes." The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "La hatta yazuqa usaylataki wa tazuki usaylatahu." You can't go back to that first husband until that second husband yazuqa usaylataki, he will taste your sweetness, and you tazuki usaylatahu, you will also taste his sweetness. What does that mean? The act to nikah is not sufficient until there's what? Sexual intercourse. Before the second husband can now divorce her, she can now have iddah, and then after iddah, she can now return to the first husband. But Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib had a view that the ordinary act is enough. if there's an act, because a man can have an act with a wife, he has an act with a woman and then he divorced her. Ikhwa, ya ayyuhallazina amanu idha nakahtumul mu'minati thumma talaqtumuhunna min qabli an tamassuhunna. This is the surah. So Sa'id said, if that happens min qabli an yamassaha, it is lawful for her to go back. The scholars say no. The Prophet told Imra'atu Rifa'a alayhi salatu wasalam that hatta yazuqa usaylataki wa tazuki usaylatahu. This hadith refutes that view of who? Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. People have been refuted. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib is Sayyidu Tabi'in, one of the most knowledgeable and noble amongst Tabi'in. They used to call him the head of the Tabi'un. Yet he has a view that the scholars have refuted. وَغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ مِمَّا يُخَالِفُ السُّنَّةَ الصَّرِيحَةَ. And like that, amongst other views, that there are clear-cut hadiths that it contradicts. وَعَلَى الْحَسَنِ, they also refute al-Imam Hasan al-Basri في قوله في ترك الإحداد على المتوفى عنها زوجها, regarding his view on al-mutawaffa anha zawjuha, a woman that her husband dies. Hasan al-Basri has a view that there is no iddah. How is that? Is that not contradicting a clear-cut verse of the Quran? They refuted him on it. This your view is wrong. وَعَلَى أَطَاءِ فِي إِبَاحَتِهِ إِعَارَةَ الْفُرُوجِ. Not i'ada, it is i'ara. Write it. That is the difference between a student reading alone and when it is read to him. There is no mas'ala as i'adatul furuj, but there is mas'ala to i'aratil furuj. What does that mean? A man has a slave, a woman slave. He has a friend. You know this man who has a woman as a slave, he has a right to her. Mimma malakat yaminuhu. Can he loan it, borrow his own friend or brother, who may have, who may not have? A man has a female slave he has access to sexually. He tells his friend or his brother, you to take her, have some time with her. A'araha or a'arahu iyaha. He loans him her, meaning he loans her to him. He gives her, take. She's my slave. I have access to her, and I can do what I like. Yarhamukallah. So he says, take, you enjoy and give her back to me. Al-Imam Ata'u ibn Abi Rabah, he considers it lawful. Others say no, it's not lawful. So that's the mas'ala to i'aratil furuj. Wala Tawus. They also refuted the view of Al-Imam Tawus ibn Kaysan, Imam Ahli Yemen. Qawlahu fi masail muta'addidatin shadza fiha. They refuted a number of issues that he was alone in them. Tawus ibn Kaysan, Tabi'i Jalil, from the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas, they refuted a lot of views from him. He was alone with them anil ulama, contradicting the rest of the scholars. Wa ala ghairi haula, the scholars also refuted other huge, big, prominent scholars. Mimman ajma al-muslimun, amongst the people that we Muslims are agreed, ala hidayatihim, that they are upon right guidance. Wa dirayatihim, that they are upon sound understanding of the religion. Wa mahabbatihim, that we love them. Wa thanai alayhim, that we always praise them. All these things did not prevent us from pointing out errors when they erred. Is this clear to us? Let us stop here today. One question again today. One question. Now, alaykum salam. You used to sit here. Why there today? You came late to class. Now, what's the question? Tatliqatun nisa or talaqun nisa. Aywa. قول المرء لامرأته طلقتك ثلاثا في مجلس واحد يعد تطلقة واحدة. We mentioned it in the last class. A man says to his wife in a single sitting, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. In one single sitting, it is one single talaq. We mentioned it in the last class. You were there in the last class. You forgot? Huh? You forgot. You have remembered now. That's also lawful in knowledge. In fact, the scholars of hadith have a bab. Babu man haddatha wa nasiya. You are the one who gave the hadith. So when your student says haddathani fulan, I say no, I did ma haddastuka. Where did I give you that hadith? He said no, you gave me the hadith. It happened to Al-Imam al-Zuhri. He's the one they gave as example in that. He gave a hadith to Al-Imam Abdul-Aziz ibn Muhammad al-Darawardi. That one says, Haddathani az-Zuhri. He said, Kai, Tal, Mata. He said, where did I give you that? He said, you gave me Shaykh. You know what az-Zuhri did? He said, yes, I rely on you. If I did not give you that hadith, you will not say that I gave you the hadith. So Imam al-Zuhri will now make tahdith, mentioning Abdul-Aziz al-Darawardi, saying that, Qala Haddathani Zuhri. It is called what? Babu man haddatha wa nasiya. He gave the no so hadith wo to gbagbe pe mo ti sọ. Because nisyan maghfurun an. Nisyan rabbana la tu'akhidhna in nasina wa akhtana. It's not just khata. All these things we are talking about, we are mentioning khata. It could be about nisyan too. He forgot. He might know the hadith and forgot. He forgot that the Prophet said so. He forgot that he knew it. How many times, ikhwa? Wallahi, this one has happened a lot. How many times have we given a report, answered the question, and then we forgot that was, we came back, we changed the view. I always gave this example about Al-Imam Al-Albani, 20 years in between. I listened to it. A man asked him a question, that when Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma gave a talaq for the woman in Hayd, Hal husib alayhi, was it counted against Ibn Umar? And Imam Al-Albani was telling the man in that day, on that sitting, he said, now husib alayhi. So if a man gave a divorce to his wife when the wife was menstruating, it is counted against him as one divorce. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said it is not counted because that talaq is talaqun bid'iyun fahuwa batil. La yu'ad, la yuhasabu ala rajul. It will not be counted against the man. So when Imam Al-Albani said it will be counted, the man said, but I asked you this question 20 years ago. You told me that it will not be counted. Today, why are you telling me that it will be counted? 20 years before. So the Imam said, yes, that was the view I had. After I studied the matter, I changed my opinion. So sometimes the mistake will be about you had forgotten that there is a hadith, that there is a verse. The mind will not even go there. Then somebody will remind you, hey Shaykh, but there is one hadith. You say, oh yes, there's one hadith. Then you speak upon the hadith. It's not just about khata, it is about nisyan too. Sometimes you err. Ayyuhal ikhwa, everyone errs. We can stop here today. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.